Guess who got brands talking? Brandlife.co.za.
My people, it's time to move out. Move out.
Artlist.io.
My people, it's time to move out. Show 'em what we do now. They say that work seems so hard to follow. I am not a role model, only a teacher. Teach 'em when the school's out. Preacher man preaching to each his own. Mano we mano. Fly away, fly away. Fly away with me.
Hello again and
Licensing
hello again and welcome to the only show in South Africa completely dedicated to social entrepreneurship, social enterprises and the social entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Lee Miller and I'm your host today. Last week on the show we had Jocelyn Smith, a consultant that specializes in research in the development sector, and she's also an associate of CHOOSE, which stands for the Entrepreneurial Ways. It's based at Wits Business School. She was kind enough to join me in the studio last week and we talked about the entrepreneurial mindset. How do you cultivate it? What are the benefits of having it, whether you are in business or you're just thinking about being in business? We also talked about some of the misconceptions around entrepreneurs and becoming or being an entrepreneur. And some of the ones I remember is that you're not necessarily born an entrepreneur. That's good news because it means that it can be learned. We can teach it. We can embrace it. We can go on a journey towards becoming an entrepreneur. We also talked about the fact that it's not necessarily something that's going to solve all of our problems, especially the unemployment problem, because we may still lack the skills that are required to make a business work. So that was some of the misconceptions that we unpacked last week. Also, we were reminded of the importance of developing an entrepreneurial ecosystem that is enabling. And also, the other thing was that if you have money, sometimes entrepreneurs think if they just get money and suddenly all their problems will disappear. It's not necessarily the case. It may not just be one thing that you need. It may be a couple of things that you need. It may be an enabling environment that you need. Thank you again, Jocelyn. I really, really appreciate you coming through and I hope to have you join me in the studio again. Okay, so today on the show,
the role of the artist in a society. It used to be said the pen is mightier than the sword. I would replace that, the artist is today's social conscience.
Art has always made radical leaps from the known.
The artist speaks with a rebel's voice. The artist has a vision. The artist sparks passion. The artist sparks emotionality. Societies that honor their artists are progressive societies.
That was the voice of Deepak Chopra, and he was speaking to Jerry Venstrom, or it was a movie about Jerry Venstrom, actually. And this is an artist that was born in the 1950s, I think, somewhere in New York, and he had a very interesting journey. I think he got to the age of 30 and he decided to just burn all of his art because he needed to find himself again. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about the social value that art creates, and we have a master in the studio, a master in the making in the studio. I know you're laughing at me, Chepape, but you're so young and you're so accomplished. I'm really very honored to have you in the studio. You're born in Kensington, right here in Johannesburg, but you were raised in Makopotong village in Makotopong village in Polokwane, or outside of Polokwane in Limpopo. You're now a full-time artist and you live in Johannesburg full-time, but you travel all the time. Welcome, welcome. Your profile is so incredibly long and I really was struggling to think of where I should read absolutely everything. But I think what I might do, if with your permission, I will post this on my wall, on my Facebook wall, so that the listeners can see actually what I'm talking about when I say accomplished. I mean, from winning the awards, many awards, from doing public speaking, public lectures. I think you've almost had a solo show from 2013 every single year, isn't it?
Yes, that is true. And this year, by December, I shall have had 5 solo exhibitions. So 3 outside South Africa and 2 in the country.
Amazing. So, yes, you are a master in the making. I absolutely am thrilled to have you. You just listened to the clip by Deepak Chopra. What do you think is the role of artists in society?
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me to come to your show. It is really a great honor. I think many of us have different perceptions around what art is and what art should be. And for me, the role of art or artist is there's nothing special about it because I believe that artists are also the citizens of the country that they live in. So as citizens, they should be active and try to help or deal with challenges that affect the society negatively. And in this case, artists can use their art to really deal with those challenges. That's my belief about the role of an artist. And I think each artist can define their role as citizens that they can play in their societies.
So if I apply the same logic, you're basically saying it doesn't matter what you are or what your chosen career or your path is in life.
Yes.
Your primary function as a citizen is to empower and to better the life of the people around you, your own, etc. included. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying, exactly. And I want to borrow from this quote of Muhammad Ali. I think there's somewhere where he said that generosity or kindness is the rent that you pay on earth. So for me, it's a powerful quote, even though I'm paraphrasing it. But the philosophy behind that is that we all need to be responsible and accountable for what we do for the community and for ourselves. Yeah.
And you've done so much for the community, and the community's done a lot for you as well.
Yes, I was raised by a community, and that's why I believe that where I am in life, I owe it to the community that raised me, and that is why I'm so passionate about sharing the little that I have with those who are not able or they don't have access to, for example, basic arts education and literacy in the country. So that is the kind of rent that I'm paying for living here on earth.
And you're generating a lot of kindness, and you're allowing others to contribute and be generous as well in these projects.
Yes, I mean, I'm amazed by how the support that I've been getting for the past 8 years with my community of social activism, where people really believe in the kind of vision and dreams that I have about arts education and literacy, especially in the rural areas. And people have been coming forward with their help, their donation of books, and even donation of money to buy material, so that a young girl or boy in the rural can be able to be introduced to arts education or basic skills of art.
You know, one of the things I found fascinating about your profile is I can see almost for the last 8 years or so, you've been going back to the rural communities and presenting these workshops and working with the various, whether it's a school, whether it's a museum, whether it's, what was the other one that you had? So these are an Iris House for orphans in Guyana.
Yeah.
So how do you select who you will work with for that year?
Actually, because I'm not working alone. I've been working with Jan Chikutula for the past 8 years. I've been working with Moses Rasikeledi and Teko Bushaman. So we sit down and we decide which community can we visit in that particular time. So the selection really has been about recommendations from other people that we've worked with. We can be clueless as to where we're going, and we can phone maybe a school or community organizer that we worked with previously to say which school would you recommend, and we can gladly go there.
Okay, and then one thing I wanted to ask you was how were you able to get people to support what you do as a collective, not just you as an individual, but how have you been consistently able to have the resources to go to these rural communities and do the work that you do?
I think it starts with believing in the work that you're doing, and once you believe in what you're doing and the value that is behind what you're doing, you make it easy for the next person to believe in you. So, which for me, it is something that carried me to where I am today, and my passion makes it easy for people who listen to the kind of help that I want from them to actually extend a helping hand. So I think for me that has been one of those things that helped me to do, or us as a team to do the work that we've been doing for the past 8 years. And bravo to everyone who contributed.
Well done. Absolutely, well done. So if you had to reflect back to your first proposal for funding, you know,
Yeah.
that document that you downloaded off the internet and you're looking at the way it's laid out and you're trying to copy the language somehow, and then what were some of the first mistakes that you cringe when you look at that document today and you're like, I can't believe I put that in the world, regardless of whether it got the funding or not. But what were some of the first sort of rookie mistakes you made in approaching investors for funding?
I'm glad that you're asking that, because it allows me a wonderful reflection of where I come from 8 years years ago. So the first idea I had about establishing this organization called Samantole Creative Projects and Workshops, which was long actually because I was very ambitious and all that. So one of my mentors, Anne Gordon, I approached her and I said, I have this idea that I want to take basic skills of art education to the rural areas. And by then I was doing first year at art school.
And you were how old?
I was 20 or I was 21 around that time. So, and I said to her, I want to take workshops to rural schools. And she said, yeah, sure, that sounds perfect. So do you know how to go about it? I said, I don't have an idea. And she said, okay, you need to write a proposal. I wrote a proposal and it didn't have a budget. And I emailed it to her and she said, but your proposal doesn't have a budget. I was like,
what are you asking for?
I was like, what the hell is budget? So then she explained to me that it's what to do with costs of material and everything. And I sat down to challenge myself. I was bad in numbers. At least I've been improving over time. So I drafted a budget plan. I sent it to her. I remember the budget had costs for material, costs for maybe hiring tables and chairs where we'll be doing workshops, and for traveling costs from Joburg to Polokwane. And guess what? I didn't include salary for me and the team. And she said, yes, I see your budget, but how are you going to really pay yourselves? Because it's your time, it's your expertise. So how are you going to pay yourself? So that's...
I'm going to have to stop you there for 1 second, please. We have to quickly take an ad break, Chepape, but this is fascinating. Please stay, join us after the break. We've got Chepape in the studio. You're listening to Brand Live. This is the Social Enterprise Show.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
This is what you missed on brandlive.co.za.
We're broadcasting live in one of the boxes at 27 boxes.
Hey, can I ask you something there? Can you please tell me, do you think the post-90s, did they really fully integrate,
Sure.
Since we're talking about integrating today, though.
But you do what? Civil engineering?
Civil engineering, yeah.
Okay, and how's that going for you?
It's okay.
So it's a whole lot of studying?
School, it's a lot of studying.
And banking school, a lot of banking school.
I don't bunk school. I just don't go to school when they tell us not to go.
Lies. I've seen this with my eyes. Lies.
Someone was saying, I'm sure there's 10 soapies now happening.
Listen.
Same time.
I'm gonna say something, right? That might sound like I'm shading or hating or whatever. There's lots of work for actors right now, but lots of actors aren't working. Lots of people are acting.
Ooh. Insightful conversations.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Live from 27 boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.
That's correct. This is Brand Live, and I am Tracy Miller. This is the Social Enterprise Show, and I'm joined in the studio by the incredibly passionate and fantastically innovative Chepape, who is also an artist, who happens to be he happens to be an artist. Before the break, you were telling us about your rookie mistake and how was it your lecturer that told
my mentor,
your mentor was telling you that nope, go back and redo this budget because you have not planned for your salaries, and obviously you had to go back to the team. What happened next?
Yes, I went back to the team and we tried to see how can we pay ourselves for the service that we'll be doing to the community in Limpopo. And we kind of figured out the figures for our salaries, and I went back to her and she said, I see you've only calculated the number of days that you'll be teaching.
Not your planning.
Not your planning, not your
reporting afterwards.
Exactly. So I learned a big deal from that mistakes, and from then on I think I got the hang of it.
Yeah, you can only be taught the same thing so many times until it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
But it's very unfortunate that there's a lot of proposals that are still stuck in an inbox somewhere because it's not formatted properly, the budget hasn't been thought through, or they haven't used the right email, they haven't done something. You're lucky that you actually had a mentor that said, go back, come back again, go back, come back again.
And I think, yeah, you are correct. I think young people, they need mentors, because they go through a lot without having someone to really bounce those ideas that they have at. So for me, having Anne Gordon and other people who mentored me, they really made my life a lot interesting in terms of learning as I go. And that's why also I feel that mentoring other young people who are entering into the arts, it's a great thing to do. And as much as you mentor, you learn as you go from your mentees. So it's a great thing.
Do you have a different approach to raising funding now? Do you still write proposals, enter competitions? Well, how do you approach it now? Because I see you walking around with the Chepape t-shirt, and that to me looks like merchandise right there.
Yes. Now I've learned new ways of raising funds, but I always go back to people who have been helping us for the past years to check on them and to just keep them updated of what is happening. So recently I've came up with a model which is a merchandise called Chepapeism, made in Africa, which is a movement. It's a social artistic movement or social enterprise movement, in a sense that the philosophy behind it is that I've realized that we don't have enough funding for the arts in the country, and the National Arts Council and Lotto and other
they can only do
so much.
Yeah.
So that's why I came up with this idea of really making products that can be affordable to people to purchase, and when they buy any product, they are actually giving 50% towards the project that we're working on. Recently, we've launched a library in Limpopo, Ramatabata.
No, hold on. The library is named after you.
Oh, yes.
You just wanted to skip over that. This person has a whole library named after himself. Unbelievable. So tell me about the project.
Okay, cool. The project started from the conversation that a principal of one school in Ramatabata, he has been observing the work that I do on Facebook, doing book clubs with kids and working with them, teaching them art and all that. So he once talked to me to say, you know what, I love what you're doing. I know you're doing it in Johannesburg and some in Limpopo, but I would like you to come do it in my school. And they said, okay, cool, that sounds perfect. So at that time, we took workshops, drama and visual arts workshop to his school, and he said, I want you to start a book club for my learners. And as the conversation continued, I realized that they don't have material like books that we can start a library or the book club. So I said, how about
how can you have a book club with no books?
Yes, I said, how about starting a library first? He said, yeah, that's a cool idea. Actually, we'll start a library and name it after you. And I said, as much as it is an honor, you don't have to name it after me. I mean, we can build a library and continue to work together in terms of formulating and realizing the idea of book club. I said, no, we're going to name it after you. I said, all right.
Well, that means you're invested there for life.
Yeah, he said, you know what, you've been doing a lot of work, and I feel like we should honor you in the province. So then we started working on the concept of the library, and I've donated 50% of my book collection to this library. Books I've been collecting since 2008.
Wow.
So, and I'm proud to say that the library is functioning, and we've reached a stage where a librarian is paid a salary every month to sit there and record books and be able to facilitate the process of borrowing or lending books out. So for me, it's a great thing. It's wonderful social entrepreneurship that somebody earns a salary from the idea of a library that we started.
And the value that you're creating in that community is that you're giving the power, the knowledge, the beauty of reading. You're just giving it back to the community.
Yes, definitely. And I'm glad that we're doing that with people who are involved in donating books and believing in the vision. So it's a great thing to do, actually.
I've really enjoyed our conversation so much. I didn't even take a break in between, but I'd love to play a clip that I've got ready, and I want us to talk about that clip for a few minutes. And before I run today, I'm going to be talking to you about the D Prize. And the D Prize is a global competition that is open to all social enterprises. They're looking to award a prize of 20,000 USD. To any idea stage or very early stage entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs who can take a stab at some of the challenges. So before I leave, I want to just get into one or two of the challenges and give you some details to go and look at it. If you're a social enterprise, take a couple of minutes, spread the word. They're going to award, I think, up to 400. Did we see that? 400.
Yes, 400 individuals
or teams, with this prize so that we can solve these challenges. So let's play this clip real quick and then we can round off our conversation with Chepape.
I think we're already seeing it. We're seeing a society that is predatory, that is belligerent, that is arrogant, that is angry, that is hostile, that doesn't understand the deeper significance of things. The stuff of myth is the social conscience of a society. Artists are conscience, and when you have tyrannical regimes in the world, the first people they go after is artists. They don't want TV antennas because they don't want their children to see MTV, for example, in the Middle East, in some countries, because they're afraid. When you have children growing up with this great imagination, they also have the desire for freedom. We're creating a society where we say we want people in the world to have freedom, but where's the freedom if you cut off all these programs?
Now, what do you think of that? Our society is hostile. Our society is aggressive. We see evidence of this aggression everywhere we look. We were just talking about how it's more, we need our conscience more now than we ever do. Do you agree with what Deepak Chopra says?
Yeah, I do agree. And I think we have a lot of work to do. And because also what we see at schools now, where students are actually stabbing and killing teachers, it's a problem for us all.
Mm.
We don't have to fold our arms and say it's a problem of government.
Or it's a problem of the education system, or it's a
Exactly.
problem of the past. It's a problem of now. We need to do something about it now. Do you think there's a role for art?
Yeah, there's role for art like there is role for other sectors across.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna like, okay, fine, Chepape. Can you put your hand up and say, we should do more? I know you already do so much, but I hear what you're saying. What I'm asking is, where does art fit in? Is there something that the arts community can do to help with some of this aggression, this ills that we have?
Yeah, I mean, art can play a huge role in terms of reinterpreting what is happening and reconscientizing it to the public through plays, through art exhibitions, through music, through other forms of art, all forms of art. So I believe that art has a role to play, and we need the support from the public, because art is one of those sectors that is neglected in terms of people don't take us serious. You know?
No, they
and
don't.
I understand it's because some of us, we don't take ourselves serious, but we need to change that.
Yeah,
we need to
absolutely.
start taking ourselves more seriously so that the public can take us more seriously. So there is a lot of work to do, and we need to join hands to work on
to execute some of this work.
Yes.
And you know, one of the common misconceptions again about artists is that they have to be poor.
No, that is actually not true. And I understand that
I'm a struggling artist now. My art is better because I'm struggling. I
don't buy the idea or the concept of saying I'm a struggling artist, I'm like starving artist, because you are what you tell yourself. If you tell yourself that I'm a decent artist, you'll definitely find ways of being decent, taking yourself seriously, taking your craft seriously, and respecting your craft. So we need to do away with that sort of thing.
Struggling art mentality.
I was invited to this event yesterday, and they expected some artists who, I don't know, they are image of artists.
Yeah.
And when I said, yes, I'm Chepape, the artist, and they were surprised. I said, why are you surprised? They say, no, we expected you to be like wearing this dirty stuff, or those kind of stuff.
That's terrible. That's such ignorant.
I told them that, you know what,
perceptions.
That perception is wrong, and it's a perpetuation of that stereotypical,
which keeps us there.
Yeah. So I said, do away with that mentality, because this is a profession like a doctor walks into his office. We walk like that. We take our art seriously, and we want to be paid for whatever service that we give to you guys as artists.
And the same with musicians, the same with poets, the same with actors and actresses, and all the other segments of the arts. Chepape, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you about I'm African. I think there's a launch tonight, isn't there?
Yes, I'm African. I'm African it's a new online platform that sells South African or African jewelry and luxury and all that. So they're having an event in Rosebank tonight, and it includes also the exhibition of young artists like Lebohang.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm attending that, and I think we need to rally behind them
to show support.
To show support, yes.
Yeah, to show support. Have you any exhibitions coming up?
Yes, I'm having. I'm participating in New York Affordable Art Fair in New York this week, which is opening in New York. And I'm exhibiting my work with Harry Stanton Gallery that is in Cleveland, that represents me in America. And I'm having an upcoming exhibition in Port Elizabeth.
Yes, the Windy City. You didn't forget about us. You're in New York, in Cleveland, and in Port Elizabeth.
Well.
That's fantastic. Listen, Chepape, thank you so much. If we want to get a hold of you, we can find you on Facebook.
Yes, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And if you want to know more about the D Prize, please log on to, I think it's www.d-prize.org, and please go and read up on it, go and look at, I think there's about 9 or so challenges, and there's also an opportunity for you to customize your own challenge. Like I said, the competition only closes, or the submission deadline closes on the 14th of October, and then there's an opportunity to then do a regular submission on the 4th of November, and you can even apply for an extension of your deadline, but if you do it before the 25th of November. So yeah, that's the show for the day. It was amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Brand Live. Thank you, Bandile. And if you want to get in touch with me, join me or send me an email on tracyleemiller@gmail.co.za.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.